Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and today I'm here with one of our project cars, the 2023 Toyota GR Supra. And recently, we vinyl wrapped the roof. Saved over $500 by doing it myself. It wasn't all that hard. It's something that I think any one of you can do. And when I pointed out to people, they seemed to really like the gloss black roof. However, that's just it. I have to point it out to some people. They don't notice it. And I don't blame them. I don't actually notice it. I love this car. I love how it looks. And most of the time, when I'm parking it, walking away from it, I do turn around. I take a look at it. I love the blue. The stratosphere blue is beautiful. I love the shape of this car. But even when I do that, I don't actually notice the gloss black vinyl roof. So it doesn't stand out. We're gonna vinyl wrap this top piece coming down the B pillar. We're gonna add a nice curve to the back here to give that TARGA type look to the car. And hopefully with that added vinyl wrap, it'll stand out more. And you know, the good thing about this is if we don't like it, we just peel it off. We didn't pay to have someone else do it. All we did was pay for the vinyl wrap. So with that said, if you're interested in finding out how to vinyl wrap the sides, the top of your roof and the B pillar and adding that nice curve, or if you're just curious in how it looks, then stay tuned. The first thing we want to do is prepare the area. So do a thorough wash. If you need to, use a clay bar. You want to get any contaminants off of the paint. Some of you may think that adding the vinyl wrap may help cover up any of the imperfections, and it's actually the opposite. Any imperfections will be highlighted when you add the vinyl. And afterwards, I like to use a solution of distilled water mixed with isopropyl alcohol. And what that'll do is that'll make sure that you remove any of the soap, the wax, even grease from your hands. It'll give you a really nice surface for the vinyl to bond to. And also, don't forget to get into all of the crevices, clean all the weather stripping areas. That is going to be super important because if the vinyl doesn't stick to those areas, that's where it's going to pull up. Here's what we have for our vinyl wrap, which is the exact same as what I wrapped the roof with. This is the Avery SW900 in Gloss Black. I bought this on Amazon. I'll leave the links in the description below, not just for this, but also for the tools that I'm going to use. Again, this is relatively inexpensive. When I checked around in my local area, the Denver metro area, I was getting quoted $500+ just to wrap the roof. I didn't inquire about what we're doing today here, wrapping the side. So obviously it'll be more expensive. Let's take a closer look at where we either will be cutting with a razor blade or using 3M knifeless tape. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail when we get to that. We do have a lip, so you want to make sure you provide enough vinyl to wrap over and into this. This will be relatively easy because we are going to remove the roof rail. It'll give us a lot of room. We'll be able to tuck it under there and not really worry about it. So moving on down here, we have a lot of lip to work with. And we also have a gap in between the paneling and the rear glass. So in this area, you could, if you feel comfortable, of course, cut this with the razor blade. But you want to make sure that if you're cutting it, you're cutting enough that it will tuck in and the vinyl will cover up all, in this case, our blue. We have some weather stripping, and based on our experience with doing the roof, this is fairly tight. It's hard to tuck under. So you can do one of two things. Get the tucking tool and tuck it in between the weather stripping and the paneling, or you can overlap it a little bit and just have it overlap going in here. That's your personal choice. This is going to be a little difficult to cut without marring, the weather stripping, or God forbid your paneling itself here. So I would highly recommend we use 3M knifeless tape in this section. Moving along, we have very similar, but at least we have a deeper trench where if you wanted to, you could use the razor blade instead of using the 3M. Starting here, and whenever you're using the 3M tape, make sure you give yourself plenty of slack on either end so that you have enough to work with to be able to pull the thread out from the green tape. Here we laid it enough where it just overlaps so that when this knifeless tape does cut through, ideally it'll give us enough to overlap, and when we cut the vinyl, it'll lay right into this trench right here. Moving down to the back window, I kept a big overlap all the way down here. And the reason for that is there is a deep lip right here, and I want the vinyl, I want to be able to tuck the vinyl right into here. Keeping along the window, same thing. I laid it just on the black trim here, just so that the vinyl will overlap. And this is where it's meeting the knifeless tape from over here. I didn't continue it because you're not going to be able to cut with the 3M tape around corners. And what I hope is going to happen is that I'll cut with the 3M to about here. I'll cut with the 3M to about here. I'll lay over the vinyl, and then I'll cut with my razor blade to go right around this corner. Now for the sports roof or Targa-esque look, I just laid this by hand. And what I tried doing was following the curve of the rear fender. So this sticks out a little bit, it has a nice curve to it, and that's what I try to keep with. Following the line on the door, comes up and curves with the fender. So what I'm going to do here, once we have this in place, I'll then make my template to mirror this side, and I'll put it on the other side to make sure we have some symmetry. Now that we're done with the driver's side, we need to make a template on how this curve moves from this back window to the rear window. And using that template, we'll put it on the passenger side, and that way we'll know that we have some uniformity, some symmetry in our design. I taped it down with painter's tape, just so it doesn't mar my surface here. And as you can see here, I did make the outline. You can feel it, just the outline of this window, because we'll then put this on the other side. I made an outline of where this comes into contact with the glass, the rear. And then you probably can't see, but over here, same with the crease here. What we have to do next is find our line of where our vinyl stops. And I'll draw that in, and I'm gonna then cut this. So I'll draw it in, and then I'll cut it. Then we can lift this, put it on the other side, and with a couple other measurements, we'll be able to make sure that it's identical to our driver's side. And as you can see, I transferred our template over to the passenger side. To double check all of this, I didn't take a measurement on the driver's side for the corner of this window here down to where it meets the weather stripping. And I placed a mark right there. And then I did similar, this body crease right here, measured from here to where it ends. I believe that was 7.5 for me. And it double checks with the other side, so my measurements are consistent with the end points. And now I'm going to use our 3M knifeless tape to create our curve. So that's it, we're done. It wasn't too bad. It really wasn't. I mean, for me, the cost savings, not having to spend $500, $600, $700 to have someone else do this, to spend less than $100 in materials, and to learn how to do it myself, I'm really happy with it. Yeah, there's a couple of mistakes here and there, but I can live with it. I think it looks great, and it's an easy and relatively inexpensive customization for your car. With that said, I think we're done for today. I want to thank you very much for joining, and until next time.